Hello guys, welcome to Movie Mind YouTube channel. Today, in this video, I am going to explain to you the full story of Radhe Shyam movie, released in 2022. Let's watch this movie story without being late. November 26, 1976. Vikramaditya, the hero of the film, is battling a tsunami in the middle of the sea. The director began the film by saying, when two people who are destined to be with each other meet, it becomes love. But, what if those two who are not destined to meet, rebel against their destinies and meet? This is the story of love versus destiny. A few months ago, Paramahansa, who was Aditya's teacher, was teaching palmistry to his disciples. At that time some scientists come and meet Paramahansa. The government is going to build a new space research center. They came to find out a good moment for it. Their Paramahansa imparts enlightenment to an atheist, and when a person there asks if there is anyone after you in palmistry, Paramahansa tells him about his beloved disciple Vikramaditya. He states that Vikramaditya is called the Einstein of palmistry. The man there was curious to meet Vikramaditya and asked, "Where is he now?" Asks Paramahansa. To which Paramahansa says that Vikramaditya has left India. When asked why, Paramahansa says, only Vikramaditya should know why. Vikramaditya, on the other hand, enjoys his life in Italy. One day Vikramaditya is going in the car with a girl when she proposes to him. Then he said, "I'm not a relationship type, I am a flirtationship type. I do not have a love line in my hand. Forgive me," says and leaves. Later in the movie, Prerna, who is the heroine, stands at the train door and enjoys nature. Some who were going that way at the time were fascinated by her beauty. Knowing that, Prerna asked one of them, "Can you carry my weight?" When he hears the question and he is smiling with confidence, Prerna ties his upper garment around his waist and gives the other end to the man. Then Prerna leans out of the train door and fully enjoys nature. At that point the man is unable to carry Prerna's weight and gets help from the other two. Yet even those three could not bear the weight of Prerna. For a while Prerna notices a pillar coming across and comes inside and invites them for coffee. Then they run away from there saying she is mad. Prerna, who later works as a doctor at her uncle's hospital, goes to a ship captain in the general ward who suffers from nausophobia, a disease in which he feels sick even if he is not, and repeats the tests done without hearing him say he is not sick. This time too he was told to leave the hospital if he had any not illness during the tests. Later Prerna meets her uncle. Then Prerna's uncle says, "Didn't I tell you not to come to the hospital for a few days?" To which Prerna stretches out her hand saying, "I'm fine uncle, the fever has also gone down. See if you can." Then, "Did he get your test reports?" To which Prerna says, "I will bring it to you first when I arrive," and leaves. Later Vikramaditya's mother practiced dance for the London Dance Festival. At that moment, Vikramaditya's friend, who had fallen asleep to the sound of song and grunts, became annoyed and said, "Hey Vikramaditya, you called me to Italy because I was your childhood friend and made me a watchman at your house. Do you enjoy traveling abroad?" Later he finds out that Vikramaditya is at home and goes and meets him, and Vikramaditya writes down in a book all that will happen in his future. Vikramaditya grabs the book while he reads it. When Vikramaditya is asked by his mother to marry him, he says no. Then Prerna again stands by the train door and enjoys nature. This time Vikramaditya comes to the other side and he is fascinated by her at first sight. Realizing this, Prerna asked, "Can you carry my weight?" Vikramaditya laughs at her silly question. Prerna then wraps the first end of her upper garment around her waist and gives the other end to Vikramaditya, who leans out of her train door. Vikramaditya also jumps out of the train to like her mischievous deeds and to see Prerna's face more beautiful than nature. If Prerna is enjoying nature, then Vikramaditya is enjoying the Prerna's beauty. After a while Prerna opens her eyes and looks at Vikramaditya. He then informs her that his name is Aditya. Then she is shocked to see him and notices a pillar coming towards them. Then she gets out of that train. Vikramaditya is looking for her on that railway platform, in the middle of the crowd. Vikramaditya sees Prerna boarding a bus. He then rides in the back bus for her. Later, at a signal, the buses stop and some other vehicles. Due to them Vikramaditya is unable to get out of the bus to meet Prerna. Vikramaditya then communicates with Prerna, who is sitting in the bus next to him, from the bus window. In their lovely conversation, Vikramaditya asked her name. She says that fate will tell when the two of us are reunited. Two people who weren't destined to meet, met today. Will they meet again? Or are they just going to end up like a dream? The director asks, and a catchy song begins. Prerna distributes the medicine to the masses for free and writes her name on the medicine so that the thanks to those who receive them belong to her and not to God. Also, even if the two of them are side by side, fate will not make them look at each other. One day Paramahansa meets Vikramaditya, who is his disciple. He tells Vikramaditya to write the foreword to his book, Palmistry 99% Science. Then Vikramaditya did not agree with it because he wrote Palmistry 99% instead of Palmistry 100% Science. To which Paramahansa says, no science in this world is 100% true, and why does God give man the power to think if he wrote everything beforehand? For that Vikramaditya is deluded that we are thinking, but the truth here is that even our thoughts are pre-written by that God. If my mother asks you about my marriage, tell me that there are no lines of love and marriage in my hand, says Vikramaditya to Paramahansa. Says it is 100% true, not 99%. Later one day Vikramaditya goes to tell astrology to Anand Rajput, who is the richest person in India. There Vikramaditya said that although Anand Rajput has an interest in politics, he has no future in politics and he will take over all his companies on November 20th. Anand Rajput then tells Vikramaditya to lie to his father that he has a future in politics. With this he said that his father would allow him to go into politics. Vikramaditya agrees and tells the truth to Anand Rajput's father and leaves. At that time Anand Rajput's men chase after Vikramaditya to convince him. Vikramaditya escapes from them and suddenly becomes an accident. Vikramaditya then bleeds with injuries and comes to the hospital where Prerna is staying and he meets her. He then loses consciousness, saying, "Destiny has reunited the two of us." Prerna's uncle then comes round to check on the patients in that hospital. Then Vikramaditya says that he does not know that he is Prerna's uncle, that he loves Prerna and that he fell under the ambulance for committing suicide as he did not confess her love. Knowing this, Prerna angrily approached him and asked, "Did you try to die for me?" When asked, Vikramaditya says he was just joking. Then Prerna asked, "Is death a joke for you? Do you know how many people are fighting for their lives in this hospital?" Asks. So Vikramaditya says that death is a fear for him too, so he says that he will practice death one day and show them that death practice there. Some of the patients there like it and they practice it too. Later Prerna also practices death when she is alone in her room. Seeing this, Prerna's grandmother feeds her. The next morning Vikramaditya meets Prerna in the hospital and tells her about his fluttering ship. Prerna, when asked what flute ship is, Vikramaditya said, "Everything that lovers do, we both do. But do not love, do not marry." Because there is no love line in the hands of Vikramaditya. And Vikramaditya says that he will only stay in London for a few days and that he will be waiting outside the hospital at 10 a.m. the next morning if it is okay for Prerna to stay with him in this flotation ship and come and meet him. If she does not come and meet him, he tells her he will not see her again. Later Prerna goes from that hospital to the medical camp, saying that Vikramaditya should not be seen that day. However, Prerna is impressed to see Vikramaditya coming for her on the bike in the 300 kilometers rain. She completely forgets herself and goes to Vikramaditya and they both ride their bikes. In this way Prerna and Vikramaditya get closer. One day when Vikramaditya and Prerna are going on a train, in the first scene the man who was hoping to meet Vikramaditya sees them both. The man goes to Vikramaditya and requests, "My daughter wants to be an archer. Will she succeed in the future or not? Look at her hand once and tell the future." Then Vikramaditya looks at her hand and tells her that she has no future in sports and wants to concentrate on education. She does not accept this. At this point everyone on the train realizes that Vikramaditya is a palmist. All of them request to be told the future as well. Then Vikramaditya takes Prerna and gets off the train. Vikramaditya learns through his palmistry that the train has been in an accident for a while and that everyone in it is dying. Vikramaditya forgets that it is impossible to change destiny and tries his best to stop the danger. But he fails. The same night Vikramaditya says that there was a train accident and everyone was dead, Prerna sees on TV. Then Prerna believes in Vikramaditya's palmistry. Prerna's uncle later confirms that she is in love with Vikramaditya. Also Prerna tells him to let him know what condition she is in. Prerna then goes on a boat trip with Vikramaditya and she asks, "Can we change destiny?" To which he says, 100% we cannot change destiny. Even that day I forgot about this and tried to save those on the train. But failed. Then Prerna shows her hand saying, "Tell me what's in my destiny." Then Vikramaditya tells about her 100-year beautiful future. At that moment blood was dripping from Prerna's nose. Vikramaditya is worried when he sees it. No longer does Prerna lose consciousness. Vikramaditya then takes Prerna to the hospital. Vikramaditya was worried about what would happen to Prerna while she was undergoing treatment there. Her uncle, who came out after treatment for Prerna after a while, says, "Prerna will be afflicted with an incurable tumor and she will die in another 2 or 3 months." Vikramaditya later met Prerna and said, "My palmistry has never been wrong and she will definitely live for many more years." At that moment, Prerna's uncle, who did not believe in palmistry, angrily locked Vikramaditya out. Even as he leaves, Vikramaditya tells Prerna to be brave. Later at that hospital, the ship captain, suffering from feeling sick, found out about Prerna and was discharged. In the next scene, Prerna recalls Vikramaditya, "I will live for many years." She then calls the hospital she knows and gets tested. Everything says that Prerna is sure to die in another 3 months. Uncle Prerna, who was there at the time, told her, "We have to trust doctors and medical evidence, not horoscopes." Then Prerna said, "Until now no one has said that I will live. Except for one Vikramaditya. His astrology will come true. That is what I saw with my own eyes." Prerna's uncle says, "I will prove your idea wrong." He then takes the handprints of 4 dead bodies from his hospital, shows them to Vikramaditya and tests them to tell their future. Seeing them, Vikramaditya tells each and every details correctly and Prerna's uncle starts believing Vikramaditya from then on. Later uncle agrees that Prerna's idea is correct. One day Prerna tells Vikramaditya that she wants to dance with him in a big room with 100 dancers. Vikramaditya later told the richest person in India that he would take over his companies on November 20th. As Vikramaditya says the man's father dies, he leaves politics and takes over his father's companies. Later Prerna goes to Vikramaditya's home. There she finds Vikramaditya's diary and starts reading. In it Vikramaditya writes about her which is very interesting and enjoyable to read. Meanwhile Prerna notices Vikramaditya coming there and she throws the diary aside. When Vikramaditya arrives, he puts the book in his coat pocket and takes her to dinner. While Vikramaditya and Prerna are sitting in the garden after dinner, Vikramaditya realizes that Prerna is cold and gives her his coat. In that pocket is Vikramaditya's diary. Then Vikramaditya says that he is going to another country and he will not come back again. Then Prerna says, "I will come with you too. I will not even ask where. I want to be with you, Aditya. I love you." Then Vikramaditya rejects her saying that there is no love line in his hand. Prerna comes home from there in great distress and tries to commit suicide, but when she remembers that Vikramaditya has a diary in her coat, Prerna starts reading it. Meanwhile, Vikramaditya's teacher Paramahansa published the book, Palmistry 99%. With Vikramaditya who was there at the time, he said that in this, Palmistry 99%, the remaining 1% of the people would oppose the fate and write their own dissertation. "They're all the stories we tell in history," he says. Paramahansa also wants to see the future of Vikramaditya. Prerna, who was reading Vikramaditya's diary at the time, and Paramahansa, who was looking at Vikramaditya's hand, both find out that Vikramaditya will drown in the sea on November 26th and die. At the same time, Prerna uncle tells her that a foundation has invented a cure for her illness. Then Prerna understands. Vikramaditya's astrology is coming true and he is dying. Then one day Vikramaditya comes to the hospital to meet Prerna. The staff there then intercepts him and asks why he might have come. Then they find out that Vikramaditya has come to give higher clip to Prerna. When everyone there sees it as a sham, they are all convinced when Vikramaditya tells them how hard he worked for it and what its value is. He then takes Prerna who got there and goes out. There he invites Prerna to dance with Vikramaditya among 100 dancers as she ever wanted. They dance in a beautiful building in the middle of 100 dancers as Prerna wants. The pain of Vikramaditya being away at that moment wiped the smile on her lips. But when Vikramaditya asks her to smile, she dances with a smile for him. After the dance, Prerna and Vikramaditya become physically close. The next day Vikramaditya was leaving the country. At that moment he finds a book in his pocket. That book was given by Prerna and is written to be opened only on the 26th. He touches it to his heart. Prerna, on the other hand, suffers from being away from Vikramaditya. Later Vikramaditya, a girl who had previously practiced astrology on the train, meets him. She lost her hand in that train accident. She now asks him to tell her astrology. But she did not have the hand to tell astrology. Then she asks Vikramaditya, "I do not have an arm now, so I can change my future as I like," she says and walks away. At that moment, Vikramaditya realized for the first time that the astrology he was telling was going to be a lie. Later her uncle approached the suffering Prerna and told her that tomorrow is November 26th, that she has an operation and forget about Vikramaditya. Then Prerna says that, "I will prove that Vikramaditya's prediction is wrong in love." Later, as Vikramaditya is saying goodbye to his mother and friend, he opens the book that Prerna gave him. The book says, "If fate decides that only one of us should live, it must be you." And Prerna attempts suicide. Vikramaditya then confronts fate and sets out to find Prerna's love, and to see her in the hospital. Destiny makes Vikramaditya travel on the ship. Not only that, but he sinks in the sea along with that ship, and Prerna's love revives him while he is almost dead. Vikramaditya confronts the task, escapes from the sea accident and reaches Prerna. This is how the movie ends happily with the combination of the two. For such an interesting movie explanation, please subscribe to my channel and activate the bell next to it. Also, if you like this video, don't forget to like and comment. See you later in the video.